There's so many people that want to spot reduce the fat content in their body. Like they want to reduce the fat in their belly, they want to reduce the fat in their thighs. Similarly, a lot of people, when it comes to learning English, only want to improve their spoken English. They don't care about anything else. And it just makes me think, perhaps common sense ain't so common. 你不是口语不好，而是大部分的时候什么都不好。Boy oh boy, I just know it's gonna be a good one. Don't think that you can improve 口语 alone without reading, without getting enough input, without studying your vocab, without writing. Let's backtrack a little bit. Spoken English, when you're speaking, when you're just like coming up with ideas, coming up with sentences right on the spot, it's essentially a very fast, immediate, improvised form of writing, like what I'm doing right now. 9 times out of 10, the people that struggle with eloquence and articulation in their speech also struggle with eloquence and articulation in their writings. And in a lot of ways, writing is just essentially a precursor to speaking. Yet it doesn't get talked about because it's not sexy enough. But I'm telling you, even just developing the habit of writing every single day on the most mundane subjects like how your day was, diary entries, nothing special, that alone will do wonders for not only your writing, but also your speech, your spoken English, your speaking. Because, like I said, writing essentially is just a precursor to speaking. Speaking is like too fast and a lot of times too high stake. You really don't have time to prepare. You don't have time and energy to put words together, to try out different words, to try out the words you've picked up somewhere. And so writing is a step down. It's one step removed from actual speaking. Only you have more time to prepare, have the chance to correct yourself, you have the chance to look up words and make sure you use the right words, the right combination of words. And when you write, you are giving yourself a chance to refer back to the material and see how much progress you've made over the years. Or you can do that with speaking, but you have to record yourself speak, right? When you talk to yourself, you have to record yourself so that you have a record of it and you can see the improvement of your pronunciation, your cadence, the words you use. But let's be fair, like most people don't do that, or at least they don't feel comfortable doing that. Even for me, it took me months, if not years, to get comfortable speaking on camera or speaking even just into my voice memo, into my phone, into a machine. And so most people aren't comfortable talking to themselves because it's weird, and they aren't comfortable recording themselves even if their face doesn't show. And so writing is the best compromise, or it's not even a compromise. It's just like when you write, you have to think about the words you use in your head, right? The process is the same for speaking. Only when you're writing, it's slower. So when you don't have that slow practice of putting words together, how do you expect yourself in a high-stakes situation when there is one or perhaps more native speakers present to suddenly come up with the best word choices, the most accurate words, the most funny and humorous and colorful way of saying things? It just doesn't happen like that. I'm willing to bet that 80 to 90% of you don't write. And if you do write, it's not consistent, it's not as frequent as you should be doing it, and there's no way to correct it, right? You haven't had a tool like Longman Dictionary to really make sure this word is used properly in this particular context. And so even if you've been writing for a while, it's probably from a template that you picked up from school. It's probably translated from Chinese into English. And so all those variables factor into the results. We want to focus on increasing your output, improving the quality of your output. So you can't just write from Chinese to English. You have to start with what you know. Start with the words and expressions that you feel the most comfortable with, the most assured with. And so a lot of times it doesn't have to be that long. And perhaps it shouldn't be that long. Like it shouldn't be a paragraph when you first start anyways. Like I'm learning French right now, and at this point I'm still focusing on input, but occasionally I force myself to either copy a sentence I read somewhere or try to change it up a little bit, change it just slightly, like not too much. So it's mostly just mimicking, mostly copying, very little original output. And the same might apply to you. If you've never written from scratch before, perhaps it's easier to start from something that someone else already wrote and just change a few things. The point is you get used to putting words together, putting ideas together, putting sentences together from scratch on paper slowly. And then over time, it becomes second nature. It becomes that you don't have to use a paper to draft up something to say. But to take 10 steps back, in order to have any output, you need to have not only enough input, but enough quality input. So I'm just going to say it. A lot of people, they read a lot. They spend a lot of time watching TV shows. They have, at least on paper, they have a lot of input, but it's not quality input. It's not comprehensible input. 很多时候他只是囫囵吞枣看美剧只是看中文的字幕，或者说他哪怕有看英文字幕，他也没有继续往下挖。So those input don't really do much towards getting better output. And I'll go ahead and make a separate video on how to turn input into output. Yeah, stay tuned for that video as well. That is it for today's video. The main takeaway is don't fixate on 口语 and just 口语 specifically.